The story begins with Kenta hanging out with his sister at Comic-Con. After she leaves him to buy some merch for herself, Kenta sits by himself and notices the real-sized posters of the game his sister plays. Once they are finished shopping, the two of them are on their way home, and while crossing the road, they are visited by the one and only Truck Kun. In an attempt to save his sister, Kenta gets hit by the truck and wakes up to find himself in front of a godly figure who informs Kenta that he will be transferred to another world. Furthermore, that god doesn't explain anything and gives him a tablet, which will help in his new life. With that, Kenta loses consciousness again and gets woken up in the new world by a geezer. He runs towards the place where he works part-time, and Kenta suddenly realizes that he has memories that aren't his, and currently he lives on his own and makes a living by working in a bakery. With that, he enters the bakery where Kenta gets welcomed by the owner named Marie. Kenta explains that he fell asleep on the side of the road, and after getting scolded by Catharine, Marie's daughter, he goes on to get changed. Kenta then looks at himself in the mirror and realizes that it's the face of a mob character from the game his sister used to play. Thinking about this makes him wonder what happened to his sister, but ultimately, he realizes that he needs to worry about himself right now. To start things off, he helps Marie in the kitchen and then gets asked for assistance at the counter by Catharine. Once they are done with the day's work, Marie pays him the paycheck along with a loaf of bread. After saying his goodbyes, Kenta returns to his house, which is completely empty, and for now, decides to check out the tablet God gave him. Turns out it lets Kenta buy stuff from the previous world, and the money he got from today's work is about 200 gold. For now, he decides to buy some bedding for the night and decides to taste the bread Marie gave him, only to find out that it tastes awful, but people still buy it. The next day, he asks Marie if she has some yeast, but she doesn't even seem to know what that is. Kenta then buys it from the tablet and asks her to use it for the bread. To her surprise, the bread made with yeast comes out bigger and fluffier than before. After taking a bite, she is shocked by how good it tastes and asks Kenta to buy as much yeast as he can so she can brag about how her bread tastes even better now. As expected, all the customers seem to love this new kind of bread and are eager to buy as much as they can. Later that night, Marie invites Kenta to have dinner and asks him to stay over. After having a good time enjoying dinner together, Marie puts Catharine to sleep and lies on the same bed with Kenta since it's the only one in the house. The fact that her Mount Everest is so close to him starts making Kenta nervous, and his wildest dreams come true when she puts her hand where it shouldn't be, asking if he has done the deed before. When Kenta disagrees, Marie decides to take care of it and starts to undress. Seeing how flustered the virgin boy is, she tells him to just lie down while she takes care of him. The next morning, the three of them eat breakfast together, and while Kenta prepares to go to school, he notices Marie acting normally and wonders if what happened last night was a dream. However, when she advises him to study hard and passes on a smile, Kenta realizes that he really did lose his virginity. Later at the Royal Academy, Kenta notices a girl named Josette and thinks how she seems familiar. Suddenly, he remembers that it's the same girl from that life-size poster, making him believe that this really is the Autumn game world. After that, it's lunchtime, and Kenta is enjoying his bread when he notices Josette yelling at a girl for being a commoner. After giving her the piece of her mind, Josette starts coming his way, leaving Kenta no choice but to make a failed attempt to hide. As expected, he instantly gets spotted by Josette, who figures that he must have seen everything. Moreover, Josette tells Kenta that she doesn't want any bad publicity spreading as she's the daughter of a well-known noble, and asks him to stay quiet about it. But when Kenta argues by saying that she will continue to pick on her again, Josette walks towards him, and after grabbing his face, starts kissing Kenta on his crusty lips. Later, Kenta is sitting in class, wondering what the kiss was even about. He then takes a glance at her and notices that she is still as unbothered as ever, which makes him believe that everything will be all right. With that, the school finally ends, and Kenta is sitting outside, thinking of filling his stomach real quick before heading to his part-time job. However, just when Kenta is about to take a bite out of his bread, he notices the noble girl standing behind a tree, looking at him. Curious, Kenta asks if there's anything he can help her with, only to be mocked by her for speaking so casually despite being a commoner. While Kenta tries his best to control his anger and not make a scene, she questions what he is doing there all alone. He lets her know that he is eating some bread and continues doing so. After taking some bites, Kenta decides to put something inside the bread next time, and before long, her staring right into his soul begins making Kenta uneasy. Having no other choice, he is forced to inform her that it's getting hard for him to eat if she keeps staring at him. When she argues that she wasn't looking at him in particular, Kenta notices her eyeing that bread in his hand. Knowing that she must be hungry, he lets her know that he has another one. However, she instantly refuses and says that she doesn't accept charity from commoners. Hearing this, Kenta decides to call it a gift instead, and this time she gladly accepts the bread. After taking a bite, she gets shocked by how delicious it is and lets her emotions get the best of her. Realizing that she needs to keep her nonchalant act, the noble girl instantly returns to her usual attitude and asks Kenta to tell her more about the bread. When Kenta tells her that it's from Marie's bakery in the suburban area, the girl gets even more curious and asks for his name. After Kenta tells her his name, she gives him a kiss on the cheek and introduces herself as Josette, saying that she will keep his name in mind. Later at Marie's bakery, he lets the two of them know that he has something to show them and places an order on his tablet. Out of nowhere, a book materializes in front of them, and while the mother-daughter duo tries examining it, Kenta informs them that things from outside the continent can be bought with gold from this machine, and he wishes to help them out with this. Although it's a great book, Marie can't seem to understand anything as it's written in Japanese. The following day, Josette appears once again, commenting on how Kenta's having a meal on his own again. She then sits next to him and gets offered some bread by him. Moreover, he asks the reason why Josette doesn't eat with her friends and gets told by her that it's because she's a picky eater. Nonetheless, after finishing her bread and complimenting the taste, Josette once again kisses him, telling Kenta not to hunch over like that, as it's hard for her to kiss him in return like that. With that, she wishes him a good day and walks away, leaving the poor lad mad bricked. The next day, the same events repeat, but this time, when Josette is about to kiss him, Kenta moves his head, causing her to kiss him on the lips instead. Seeing how flustered she got, Kenta argues by reminding her that she already kissed him on the lips before, but according to Josette, that one was just to keep him quiet. However, Kenta mentions that Josette is not picking on that girl anymore, causing her to mock him for having a lot of nerves despite being a lowly commoner. After Josette runs away, Kenta thinks about how she'd be even cuter if she were more honest. Moreover, he gets excited by the fact that Josette is a hottie and wishes to receive more kisses from other beautiful girls. Just then, he comes across a girl lying on the ground, and after checking up on her, he realizes that she is from a noble family as well. In order to make her feel better, Kenta offers her some bread, but she instantly refuses, saying that she doesn't like taking things from commoners. But since he is insisting so much, the girl ends up taking a bite. To his shock, she begins crying after eating the bread, which makes Kenta realize that she must have been really hungry. After finishing the bread, the girl introduces herself as Caroline and apologizes for the trouble. Curious, Kenta asks the reason she was so hungry, to which Caroline replies by saying that her father committed some kind of fraud, due to which he was thrown in jail. However, Caroline believed that he would never do such a thing and filed a complaint with the ministry. But they straight up rejected him, saying that there is no evidence. In the end, all her family's assets were confiscated, and as for her mother, she had met the Creator a long time ago. Caroline further tells him that her father never remarried, and the two of them lived together, but now, none of her relatives wants to shelter the daughter of a criminal. As her father had no second wife or mistress, Caroline was left on the streets with nothing. Right now, if Caroline were to let go of her pride, she feels like she would be acknowledging her father's wrongdoings. Just then, Josette appears once again, and without wasting any time, starts eating the bread. When she gets reminded by Kenta that she is eating other people's bread, Josette reassures him that she is always grateful for his hospitality. Annoyed, Kenta lets her know that chewing and talking at the same time is a bit vulgar, but Josette doesn't seem to mind, as it's just the two of them. But she couldn't be more wrong, as Caroline, who was present all this time, greets Josette, and after that explains everything that happened. Hearing her story, Josette realizes that this was the reason Caroline stopped coming to the monthly music gallery meeting, and is told by Caroline that they confiscated her flute. When Kenta asks the reason why she can't live at Josette's house, Caroline explains that it's very risky for a noble to shelter a foreigner at their home, let alone a fallen noble like her. Suddenly, an idea pops into Josette's mind, and she remembers someone who lives alone. The person she's thinking about turns out to be none other than Kenta himself, and when he reminds the girls that he is a penniless peasant, Josette promises to take care of his money problem. After school ends, Josette hands them a bag with money and some essentials that a maiden like her might need. With tears in her eyes, Caroline shows her gratitude to Josette, who advises Caroline not to be discouraged, asking her to let her hear the flute again. Moreover, she tells Kenta to take good care of Caroline, and with that being said, she walks away. After that, the two of them go to the suburbs, and as it's her first time there, Caroline is excited to see such a peaceful place with abundant nature. Eventually, they arrive at Kenta's house, and seeing that he is carrying a lot of luggage, Caroline offers to unlock the door for him. Without wasting any time, she opens the door to his house with excitement. But seeing that it's emptier than your contact list, she wonders if they confiscate his family's property as well. When Kenta lets her know that it's always been like that, Caroline figures that she must have been ignorant of the world. Once they finish settling down, Kenta opens the briefcase and sees some square-shaped money inside, only to be told by Caroline that it is worth around 10,000 apiece. Not only that, but there seem to be 4 of those pieces inside the briefcase, and seeing this, Caroline can't help but cry, and Kenta, who is witnessing this all, can't understand why Josette is portrayed as a villain, as she seems to be a good person. After that, Kenta pulls out his tablet, asking Caroline to keep it a secret since he can only show it to a few people close to him. With that being said, he orders the first thing that turns out to be a bathtub. While Caroline is confused by things appearing out of nowhere, Kenta continues decorating the house until everything is in place. He then asks Caroline to let him know if she doesn't understand how the appliances work, but she is too amazed to even say anything and calls Kenta a wizard. He reassures Caroline that the tools he has are the only thing incredible, but according to her, even having the knowledge to use this stuff is pretty amazing. With that being said, the two of them head to the market where Caroline buys some clothes for herself, and after that, the two of them head to a restaurant to fill their tummies. There, Caroline asks Kenta about the dishes on the menu, but since it's his first time at a restaurant, he doesn't know either. Having no other choice, he decides to just order whatever they can, and after he informs the waitress what he wants, it's Caroline's turn, who ends up mispronouncing the dish. Luckily, the waitress ends up understanding what she means, and after some time brings the food they ordered. While eating their food, Kenta notices Caroline's face turning red and asks if she's okay, to which she agrees. Once she is done with her food, Caroline begins to actively sweat, and seeing this, the waitress advises Kenta to take her home as soon as possible. But before Kenta even gets the chance to say anything, Caroline gets up and starts taking off her clothes, complaining about how hot it is. Having no other choice, Kenta runs out of the restaurant and takes her home, where Caroline is now lying on the bed, completely exposed. Kenta figures that it must be something to do with the food and decides to invite Marie to join him next time. Soon after, Caroline comes back to her senses and asks Kenta to give her clothes. He gladly does so and asks if she has calmed down a bit, to which Caroline agrees. However, she is uncomfortable with the fact that she is sweating too much and decides to take a bath. But to his utter surprise, Caroline throws herself at Kenta, telling him to bathe with her since she is not strong enough to manage alone at the moment. Earlier that day, the heroine of the game, Rachel, was thinking about how peaceful these past days were for her. The villainess wasn't disturbing her at all, which she didn't appreciate since the prince's favorability cannot be enhanced without the bullying. Just then, one of the emo-looking nerds appears, telling Rachel that she has no reason to be as beautiful as she is. The two of them then talk for a while before he eventually walks away. Although she is aware that her true love, the prince, and the other targets talk to her, their liking of her is not going up at all. Moreover, if Rachel doesn't start dating someone in the 3 years she has in school, her dreams might not come true. Seeing her looking distressed, the prince appears, asking if something is wrong. However, Rachel, who doesn't want the prince to see her in such a state, runs away after telling him that he is not being clear enough. After running for a while, she stops to catch her breath and realizes that the sweat is making her pepperonis visible. To hide them, she wears her backpack at the front and walks home, wondering how she let things get this bad. Later that night, Rachel goes to bed and dreams about falling off a cliff when out of nowhere, someone grabs her hand, telling her that it's all right. On the other hand, Caroline finds herself in Kenta's arms, who asks if she's really all right with the two of them taking a bath together. She then gets up and takes off her clothes, requesting that Rachel not stare too much. However, a degenerate like Kenta can't help but glance at those small-sized honkers of hers. Ultimately, he gets in the bathtub and helps Caroline get in as well, while Kenta tries his best to keep himself calm. Knowing just how close the two of them are, he gets asked by Caroline if he and Josette are dating. She further elaborates by saying that she saw the two of them kissing the other day, to which Kenta replies by saying that they are not in a relationship, and the kissing is kind of an agreement between them. Moreover, he believes that Josette doesn't think of him like that either, and hearing that, a smile appears on Caroline's face, and she unexpectedly stands up, telling Kenta that she is relieved to hear that. To his shock, she then tells Kenta to accept her as well and ends up kissing him on the lips. While doing so, Caroline goes overboard by grabbing the elephant's trunk, and Kenta replies by servicing her as well. Once they are done, she gets out with a betrayed face and walks out. Meanwhile, Kenta takes some time to swallow everything that just happened, and after getting out, notices that Caroline has already gone to sleep. Having nothing much to do, he lies in bed as well, thinking how there's something weird about this new him since in his previous life, girls never talked to him, let alone gave him the time of their day. Suddenly, he feels someone touching him, and it turns out to be Caroline, asking if she can sleep with him. As the two of them lay next to each other, Caroline questions him about his part-time job, and he informs her that it's a small bakery run by the owner and her daughter. He further tells her that recently, they have improved the bread and have started getting a lot of customers. Out of nowhere, Caroline asks Kenta about who he really is, saying that while he's supposed to be a commoner, he sometimes uses strong words as if he were a noble. Not only that, but his magic seems special as well, which makes Caroline wonder just how in the world he is. Ultimately, Kenta starts by telling her about a place named Japan, where he used to live and died while protecting her sister. But God saved him and sent him to this world after giving him the magic tablet. However, nothing happens when Caroline tries using it, and as soon as Kenta touches it, the tablet turns on, making him realize that it must only work for him. Afterward, he questions Caroline by asking her about the kind of world this is, and she informs him that they have a monarchy, the royal family, and a king. The place they live in is the capital city, which is luckily close to the port, so they receive delicious fish alongside the already tasty meat and livestock industry. After that, Caroline returns to the main topic and mentions that Kenta is the only person she's ever met who wasn't enjoying his time with her, which makes her believe that he must have already popped his cherry with someone else. When Kenta fails to answer her, he figures it out and goes on to talk about how the marriage system works in the country. Apparently, commoners are only allowed to be with one woman, but a person who can pay more than a certain amount of tax or a nobleman is allowed to have multiple wives. Many commoners who have money to spare are married to more than one wife, while aristocrats only marry one woman due to their family backgrounds and other factors. Knowing that Kenta is a commoner, Caroline starts to wonder if she will be chosen as his one person. She then notices him deep in thought, causing her to think that he might already have someone in mind. But all Kenta's thinking is that God must have given him a second chance because of how pathetically unpopular he was in his past life. With that being said, the two of them fall asleep, and Kenta dreams about his sister playing the Atom game he is currently in, along with all the stuff they used to do together. He then remembers the time of the accident and sees that his younger sister is in a state of despair. Instantly, Kenta wakes up and asks Caroline if she has ever seen a commoner girl with hair similar to his sister's. But Caroline lets him know that there are multiple girls with such hairstyles, making Kenta realize just how dumb his question was. After looking at the time, he figures that he's going to be late for his morning shift, and Caroline decides to come along as well. He then introduces her to Marie and Catherine, who then explain to her how the work is done at the bakery. With that, Caroline starts working at the bakery as well, and seeing just how well she is handling work, Marie questions if it's really her first time working a job like this. With that, the two of them head to school, still talking about her first day at work. Just then, he sees Rachel for the first time and recognizes her as the heroine. Later that day, Kento is present in the backyard, looking at something or someone. Curious, Caroline decides to take a look as well and sees Prince Gordon present there along with Rachel. To their surprise, he pins her against the wall, and while Caroline wonders if the two of them are dating, Kenta figures that this is the time the villainess interrupts them. But to his shock, the so-called villainess who was supposed to interrupt them appears behind Kenta, asking what he's doing there. After realizing what they are looking at, Josette compliments him for having good taste and wonders if the two of them are going to kiss. Shocked, Kenta asks if she's not going to stop them, making her wonder why she would do such a thing. Before long, Gordon ends up locking lips with Rachel, but to his shock, she pushes him away and yells at Josette, asking why she didn't come to stop him. After that, Rachel runs away, leaving Gordon confused, while Josette wonders if she was saying that to her. Soon after, she comes up to them and asks Kenta what he is doing here, hanging out with people like them. Moreover, Rachel accuses Josette of being a villainess and tells her to do her job properly. Not only that, but she starts shouting at Caroline as well, asking why she changed her hair. Infuriated, Josette lets Rachel know that she has been very rude from the start, causing an argument between the two. Ultimately, Rachiel gets annoyed and walks away, leaving Kenta confused, as the way Rachel gets angry sounds pretty familiar to him. Later, Kenta talks to Josette about the weird experience they just had, and lets her know that today's bread is a new one. She instantly gets excited upon hearing that, and starts daydreaming about it. Just then, someone calls Kenta's name, who, to his surprise, turns out to be a girl named Patty, asking if the two of them can walk home together. Although Kenta is confused at first, he ultimately agrees and decides to meet up with her after school. Once school is over, the two of them walk home together, and Patty mentions that she was afraid Kenta might reject her invitation. Curious, Kenta wonders why she thought that and gets told by Patty that it's because he is always surrounded by hot baddies. This makes him realize that he doesn't even have a single male friend and must look like a total simp. Nonetheless, he then asks Patty the reason she wants to walk home with him, to which she replies by saying that his vibe has changed from before, and now, Kenta is like a completely different dude. Knowing that they are entering dangerous territory with this convo, Kenta changes the topic and asks about where she lives. Patty informs him that her house is on the border between downtown and the suburbs, where there are no stores, no fields, and no part-time jobs. This makes Kenta ask if Patty is looking for a part-time job, to which she agrees, telling him that she has a lot of younger brothers. An idea pops into Kenta's mind, and he asks Patty to follow him to a place near his house. With that, he takes her to Marie's bakery, which comes as a surprise to her, as she can't believe he works at Marie's bakery. Moreover, Patty tells Kenta about the rumors she has heard about it being an amazing bakery, and Kenta lets her know that they are short on staff, so he will ask Marie if she can work here as well. After the basic introduction, Marie asks Patty if she will be able to manage the morning shift, considering how far her house is, but that doesn't seem to be a problem for Patty since she is good at waking up early. Just like that, Marie agrees to hire her since she is confident in the girl Kenta brought. Following that, he informs Caroline that Patty is getting hired for a customer service job, and after hearing this, she reveals herself, telling Patty that customer service is a wonderful job. Additionally, Caroline requests that she not ruin the store's reputation and suggests getting cleaned before getting started. With that being said, Patty is taken to the bathroom where she is forced to take a bath. Caroline peeks in the shower to inform Patty about the liquid she can use for her hair, only to get disappointed in herself after seeing those oversized cannon balls she's rocking. After Patty is done showering, Caroline hands her a plot cover, telling her to use it to hold her weapons in place. However, since it's Patty's first time seeing something like this, she gets confused and is taught by Caroline how to wear it. After that, while drying her hair, Caroline lets Patty know that customer service is the face of the store, so keeping clean is important. To make sure she's in perfect shape, Caroline starts by combing her hair, parting her bangs, and tying her fringes in a knot so they don't fall down. Once she's done, Patty is ready to go. Without wasting any more time, Patty starts working at the bakery, handling all the customer service work and all the customers that arrive at the bakery. Eventually, she gets informed by Catherine that they have run out of pre-ordered bread when, unexpectedly, another customer appears, asking if there's more present available. Catherine lets that person know that they have run out of bread, only to realize that it's none other than Josette herself. Catherine is stunned by her looks and mentions that a princess has blessed them with her visit. Josette gets overwhelmed hearing Catherine call her a princess and pats her head. Curious, Caroline also runs out, only to realize that it's Josette. Furthermore, Josette shifts her attention towards Patty, saying that it must be hard for her to stay calm working at the famous Marie's bakery. However, Patty replies by saying that she isn't so sure and walks away. When Marie asks Kenta about the young lady at the shop, he informs her that it's his friend Josette. Once the bakery is closed, Marie serves a bunch of dishes, calling it a welcome party for Patty, adding the fact that they can't just let a noble lady go home empty-handed. As soon as Patty takes a bite, she gets shocked by how magnificent the taste is, and Marie adds that it's a bit more extravagant since they are celebrating her arrival. Marie then tells Josette that it's unexpected for a noble to know about her bakery, to which she replies by saying that Kenta is advertising at the school. Hearing this, Marie realizes that Kenta has been helping them out with great enthusiasm, completely unaware that Josette just made that up. Once they are done with the food, Kenta decides to escort Patty home, but Josette intervenes, telling him that she will take her home as her wagon is much faster and easier. Moreover, with the eyes of a villain, she warns Patty that the ride might be a bit shaky, to which she agrees. Later that night, Marie is busy learning Japanese to read the cookbook Kenta gave her, only to get interrupted by Catherine, who has finished taking a bath and is ready to go to bed. She then suggests going to Kenta's house, as Marie still has to buy ingredients for the bread. But having no time for leisure, Marie has to disagree. However, Catherine doesn't seem to mind since she's aware of how hardworking her mother is, and says that it makes her happy when people compliment her mother's bread. Additionally, Catherine lets Marie know that the thing she wants her to prepare for the most is a father figure. Later that night, Marie drops Catherine off at Kenta's place to go and buy the ingredients for bread. On her way, she contemplates Catherine not having any memory of having a father and wonders if she's worried about not having a man in the house. This makes her realize that she was the only one who thought money would solve all their problems, and she calls herself a tired woman after looking at herself. Nonetheless, she removes all these thoughts from her mind because the grocery shop will be closing in a bit, when suddenly, someone yells at her to watch out, followed by the appearance of a rogue horse in front of her. Unfortunately, she gets hit by the horse and falls to the ground. The person asks if she's all right, and when Marie tries to get up, he asks her not to move. But it's too late because as soon as she gets up, her dress that is stuck under the wagon wheel rips apart, allowing one of the cherries to take a peek outside. Flustered, she instantly tries to hide it and gets reminded by the man of how he told her not to move. Marie then apologizes for what happened and asks if everything is okay on his side. But before that man could even reply, she ran away, saying that she needed to buy the ingredients. Luckily, he manages to stop her and gives Marie a ride to the grocery store. There, he buys her all the products she needs and even offers to drop her off at home. After talking to her, he finds out that she is the owner of Marie's bakery and informs Marie that he has been curious about it. But whenever he swings by the bakery after work, everything is already sold out. He further says that seeing her today has convinced him of that, since no one would put bread first even when their clothes are ripped. Annoyed, Marie complains that he makes her sound like an idiot, to which he agrees, telling Marie that she is unaware of how good she looks, saying that if she keeps walking around like that, she is bound to get taken advantage of. Marie lets him know that nothing will come of his flattering her and asks the man about himself. He lets her know that he is simply a gentleman who doesn't leave stupid people alone. Eventually, he drops her at the house, and when Marie tries to give him some money, he refuses. In order to pay him back, Marie asks the man to come to the bakery tomorrow for some bread, to which he agrees. After he leaves, Marie realizes that she forgot to ask for his name. On the other hand, Josette and Patty are present in the wagon, sitting across from each other. Seeing that they are going the wrong way, Patty reminds Josette that her house is on the edge of downtown, only to be told that they are taking the long way around. Hearing this, she starts to wonder if she's going to be buried alive and gets asked by Josette if she and Kenta are in a relationship. Shocked, she reassures Josette that the two of them are just friends. Eventually, they arrive at her house, and after dropping her off, Patty walks towards her house, thinking about how popular Kenta is with noble ladies. While she's a bit curious about the stuff going on with Josette, Patty is well aware that she can't bring herself to get involved. Elsewhere inside the wagon, Josette figures that Patty most likely found out her secret. Hearing the weird sounds coming from the back seat, the driver asks if Josette is all right, to which she agrees, telling him to take her home. Her wagon is then driven past a few houses where a hooded person lights a house on fire, which Josette fails to notice. Before long, the whole house gets enveloped by the fire, and Kenta, who is sleeping, gets woken up by Caroline, who informs him about the fire. He then gets out of the house and sees her talking to Marie about it. Suddenly, a person comes running towards Marie, informing her that the Bread Association's warehouse burned to the ground and that they are currently having an emergency meeting. Having no other choice, Marie has to leave in a hurry and asks the two of them to have breakfast with Catherine at her place. But the real problem arrives when the two of them realize that neither of them can cook. Seeing that the two grown-ups can't even cook rice, Catherine takes it upon herself and serves them a herb omelet, which Marie used to make for her as breakfast. As soon as the two of them take a bite, they instantly realize that something is wrong, and while Kenta forces it down his throat, Caroline flushes it down using water. Catherine is also a bit confused, as it tastes different from what her mom makes, and decides to ask for the herbs she used next time. Meanwhile, at the site of the incident, everyone is discussing how all the wheat they had is gone and starts to wonder if it was an arson attack. One of the men present mentions that he saw Marie at the bread warehouse last night, adding the fact that her bread has been selling like hotcakes lately. According to him, if she were to take suppliers away from other bakeries, then she would profit the most. Before long, the other people present started to agree with him, adding the fact that her bread became softer and she started placing jam inside as well. Even though Marie tries her best to change their minds, none of them listens to her. Ultimately, she gets asked by the police to come to the station when, unexpectedly, a person mocks those men for deciding the culprit out of envy. That person turns out to be the man from last night who says that he has never seen a union act like this before. The general store owner he brought along then informed the police officer that he arrived just before the closing time at 10, and since he didn't recognize his face, he figured that the man was an errand boy for Marie. That man then informs everyone that the date and time of their buying things are recorded. The old geezer argues by saying that the fire could have started at dawn, and by then, she might have gone back and started the fire. However, the policeman disagrees, telling him that the fire didn't start at dawn, as the warehouse was already on fire around midnight according to the witness's testimony. While the policeman thanks the general store owner for the help, the man who helped Marie tells the geezer that he wouldn't ever want to eat any bread made by the likes of him. Simultaneously, the others start to question what he was doing there if he saw Marie, and seeing the odd turn against him, the old man is left with no other choice but to book it. Meanwhile, that man is about to take his leave, but is stopped by Marie, who asks the reason he went to all those lengths and even brought the grocery store owner. He replies by informing her that it's where he delivers stuff, and adds the fact that he had a bad feeling when he heard about the arson. According to him, popular people are more easily disliked, and after hearing that, Marie gives him her thanks and asks for his name. With a smile on his face, that guy introduces himself as Jose, the gentleman who will be treating a woman to a loaf of bread this evening. This causes Marie to laugh out loud, and she walks away after thanking Jose once again. After returning home, she gets a bit concerned after seeing the look on Kenta's and Caroline's faces, as they both seem to have turned green. She then informs them that they will only have enough flour for 2 more months, and after that, the wheat in every bakery in the country will run out. Curious, Caroline asks if they can't harvest wheat in the fall and gets told by Marie that wheat is only harvested in the summer. Nonetheless, Kento advises her to take Sundays off since not many people go to work that day, which strikes an idea in her mind. The following Monday, Kento enters the bakery, only to notice a pretty long line outside. Concerned, he asks one of the people the reason behind this huge crowd, and after recognizing Kento as the waiter boy, he asks if they still sell bread at the usual price. Apparently, after what happened earlier, all the bakeries in town have raised their prices at once. But Marie is not that pathetic and decides to sell for the same price. However, there is only one specific bread that they can currently sell. After giving it a taste, Caroline comments that it's firm and less sweet than usual, but it's still pretty tasty. With that, Marie opens the bakery, and while the people are a bit surprised to see a different kind of bread, they are sure that everything will be okay since it's Marie's bread. Sometime later, she reminds Kento and the girls that they are going to be late for school, and knowing that running a bakery like this on her own is hard, she decides to close early today. On their way to school, Caroline asks if they can buy flour from his tablet, making Kento realize that he completely forgot about it, and regrets not using it before their faces turned green after eating Catherine's cooking. During lunchtime, Kento informs Josette about the country running out of bread in 2 months, which is something she can't accept, as eating bread is all she cares about. Just then, she gets interrupted by Caroline and Patty, who inform her that they have come to eat lunch with her. Seeing them, she returns to her usual self and allows the girls to use any of her jams, asking them to feel honored as she doesn't usually do this kind of thing. Moreover, she tells Patty that it's pretty convenient for her since she can monitor to make sure she doesn't say anything that doesn't need to be said. Terrified, Patty reassures Josette that she doesn't have to worry about anything at all, and thinks to herself how she must love him a lot to choose a commoner while being a noble herself. Following that, Caroline starts fuming, talking about people trying to frame Marie, and Patty adds by saying that they don't even know if it was arson yet. Hearing this, Josette mentions that Patty seems to know a lot about it, to which she replies by saying that the Bread Association's warehouse is pretty close to her house, which is why she's well informed. Josette then asks if it's on the right, facing north from her house, and when Patty agrees, Josette informs the others that after dropping Patty, she saw a suspicious-looking man in the vicinity of the warehouse. According to her, he was wearing men's pants and shoes, but had a woman's cloak covering his face. However, she doesn't know anything else, as it's hard for her to identify someone when she can't even see their face. Caroline mentions that the baker who was the first to blame Marie is the main suspect, and while Kento thinks the same, they don't have any evidence to go after him. Out of curiosity, Josette asks the name of his bakery and gets informed by Patty that it's called Snake Jack. For now, they all decide to think about how they can collect evidence on him. Back at the bakery, Kento tells Marie that they can buy flour from the tablet and won't have to worry about running out anymore. But to his shock, she straight up refuses, telling him that they can't do something so selfish when every bakery in town is in trouble. Not only that, but it's impossible for her to serve the entire population, so it would be evil to only have enough flour to sell bread in her bakery. Marie then asks about the price of 1 kilo of flour, and after checking it out, he finds that it costs around $500. According to her, it's a bit on the expensive side, and if they were to use this flour, the price of a single bread can increase by about $300. After thinking hard for some time, Marie informs the others that the new kind of bread they sell only uses 1/3 of the flour, and she wants to present this recipe to the Bread Association. Turns out she mixed buckwheat noodles from the winter with cheap ryegrass to make it possible, but currently, she has absolutely no credibility in the union. This makes her request Kento and the others to find the person who was behind the arson. Not only that, but Marie also plans to teach everyone the procedure of making yeast from beans, so that every bakery can produce bread with less wheat, which will last the country until the early wheat season. Shocked, Kento asks how she managed to make natural yeast and gets told by Marie that she learned it from the cookbook he gave her. Patty intervenes, asking if it's really okay to tell others how to soften the bread as it's her specialty, but Marie doesn't seem to mind because they already have an idea man named Kento. The following day, someone pays a visit to the Snake Bakery and is welcomed by the old man, who is aware that they have come to talk about the fire. That person who came by turns out to be none other than Josette, who lets him know that he is in big trouble. Frustrated, he questions what Josette means when she says that the snake Jack is about to go under, to which Josette replies by saying that everyone is starting to realize that he was the one who burned down the warehouse. Before that guy could even react, Josette complained about the tea not being prepared yet. Having no other choice, he gets up to prepare tea, wondering how the info leaked as he didn't leave any evidence behind. After serving her the tea, Josette notices that he seems a bit distracted and asks him about it. The old guy mentions that it's only natural, as he might be cooked beyond saving. Hearing this makes Josette realize that he is admitting that he was the arsonist. Nevertheless, she reassures him that they will deal with it somehow since they have been partners for a long time, and her father hates dealing with troublesome things. Moreover, she questions the reason he did something that could ruin the relationship that stemmed from their great-grandfathers. That guy tells Josette that there's no special reason, and he was most probably scared because a bakery from the outskirts suddenly became a huge hit. Even though all the customers had been satisfied with their bread up till now, they all left him in an instant. Although they all tried to make their bread like Marie's, none of them were able to perfectly replicate it. Josette then tells the old guy, Jack, that he, along with all the other bakeries, has partnered with her family, and her father wouldn't give Marie's bakery preferential treatment. Jack replies by telling Josette that it's about pride, as he couldn't accept someone making such good bread when he has been in this field for longer. After witnessing his mental breakdown, she figures that he must be planning on setting Marie's bakery on fire next, which is exactly what he was planning. She realizes this because when a person can't get what they want, they start taking others down with them. However, Josette also tells Jack not to mind her and do whatever he wants, and gets informed by Jack that they are planning on burning the bakery 3 days from now. Apparently, earlier that day, Kenta showed Josette and Patty his tablet, but when Caroline told them that it was a magic tool, they both laughed at her. But they weren't laughing anymore when he summoned a voice recorder out of thin air and told Josette to make things work since she is the only one who has connections with Jack. In an instant, she agrees to fulfill Kenta's request, assuring him that she will record all the confessions he needs. Back in the present, Caroline asks Kenta about how they are supposed to capture Jack once they have identified that he's the culprit, and gets told by Kenta that they have to make sure no one finds out about the tablet's abilities. Patty then suggests making some witnesses and elaborates by saying that if they say that Marie's wheat is being targeted due to the sudden price jump, customers will stay on the lookout. Suddenly, Josette returns with the voice recorder, telling them that she has brought what they need. After hearing everything recorded, Marie realizes that it really is Jack's voice, and Josette adds that they don't have the time to get discouraged, as there are only 2 days left. Kenta lets her know that they have already discussed that while she was away, and Marie asks Kenta to let her hear the recording one more time. The following day at school, they discuss how tomorrow is when Jack plans to burn the bakery. Little do they know that Raheel is eavesdropping on their conversation, wondering why they are all together every day. Furthermore, she is visibly frustrated at Kenta, thinking that if only he weren't here, everything would work out. Ultimately, she steps out and asks the reason they are all together. Furthermore, she yells at Caroline, saying that she is supposed to be a spoiled noble, and tells Patty that she is someone who is supposed to be her friend. Lastly, Rachel shifts her attention towards Kenta, confronting him for hoarding all the hotties for himself. Ultimately, she tells Josette that if she doesn't block her way, she won't be able to clear the game. Hearing her talk about clearing the game, Kenta realizes that she really is his sister, Akin, and mentions that he's glad to know that she's alive. A bright smile appears on her face after finding out that Kenta is her brother, and she mentions that he died because of her. Moreover, she believes that the reason this game is weird is because of what she did to him. But Kenta reassures her that he didn't die because of her, letting her know that both Kenta and Akin died due to an accident and got reincarnated in this world. Hearing this brings tears to Akin's eyes, and she starts bawling. After some time, she calms down, and Kenta shows her the tablet he received, which allows him to do as he pleases and break the scenarios. While checking his purchase history, she notices a pair of plot covers and asks him to buy one for her since she doesn't have the money. Kenta complies with her request, and while she tries them on, Patty appears, asking if she needs help putting them on. But Akin lets her know that it's fine since she knows how to use the things that come out of that tablet. Now that Kenta has tinkered with Patty's character, Akin is not sure how to talk to her since she can't read her mind. Just then, Patty gathers up the courage and asks Akin to be friends from now on, to which she agrees. The pair of siblings then informs everyone else that the two of them were originally brother and sister. However, the fact that's hard for them to accept is being watched from another world. Nevertheless, Josette intervenes by saying that there's no point in dwelling on what they don't know, and suggests going over the plan once again now that Akin has joined them. After they are done with that, Akin decides to head over to Kenta's house, and when he tries to make Akin change her mind, she insists, saying that she likes to watch people become unhappy. With that, everyone leaves, but Akin stops Josette, asking if she isn't thinking about getting engaged to the prince. She replies by saying that it's not really important right now, and gets asked by Akin if she changed her mind because of her brother. Moreover, Josette tells Akin that ever since she met Kenta, she has decided to do whatever her heart desires, and says that Akin doesn't need her for anything since she has been receiving kisses from the prince anyway. According to Josette, she believes that Kenta is a butterfly, one with blue fluttering wings. Later that night, Kenta, along with the ladies, is on the lookout for the culprit, and before long, the hooded figure appears once again. As soon as she starts lighting the wood outside the bakery, someone splashes water on his face, and that turns out to be the neighbors, confronting him for not only being the most chopped guy known to men, but also an arsonist. Simultaneously, Marie, along with Kenta and the others, runs outside as well. Meanwhile, Jack, who finds himself in a bind, puts all the blame on Josette, but she denies all the accusations, reminding him that she just told him to do as he pleases. Having no other choice, Jack decides to make a run for it, and the neighbors start to discuss how he could do something dangerous in this state of desperation. Seeing this, Marie starts getting anxious, wondering if she put them in danger again. Just as she prepares to run after Jack, a familiar-looking horse appears, followed by Jose, who brings Jack along and warns her not to roam around the streets at night, as it gets pretty dangerous. Marie gets overwhelmed after seeing his face and gives Jose a big, tight hug. Shocked, Kenta wonders who that guy is, which makes Akin believe that her brother might be interested in Marie. According to Akin, it's a hidden character named Jose, and she figures that this is what happens when the main character doesn't play the game. Seeing the annoyed look on her brother's face, Akin yells at him to take this seriously, telling him that if he just stands there like that, Jose will steal her away like he did just now. Afterwards, she walks up to Jack, who's tied to a tree, wondering what she should do first. In the end, she makes up her mind and pulls out a whip, saying that she always wanted to try this out. Terrified, Jack is left with no other choice but to voluntarily ask the police to put him under arrest. A few hours later, Kenta is preparing to go to bed and gets asked by Caroline if the two of them can sleep together since she's a bit scared. It was her first time watching someone trying to burn down a house and wants Kenta to hold her tight. As the two of them lay on the bed together, Caroline talks about Jose, saying that he probably likes Marie. Furthermore, she tells Kenta that it's all right and takes off her clothes, revealing her sad excuse of a body while reassuring Kenta that she will always be by his side. After that, Caroline holds his hand, telling Kenta that she loves him and starts locking his fingers. Then, she places him on the delicate spot, asking him to embrace her. The next morning, she wakes up, only to realize that they overslept and gets dragged out of bed by Kenta, who asks her to hurry up. However, after reaching the shop, they are told by Marie that the shop will open at noon because she is thinking of going to the association. Additionally, she asks the two of them to relax as there isn't much preparation to be made. Making use of her free time, Caroline decides to take a shower with Marie, and the two of them discuss how they can't even go a day without washing themselves. Marie then talks about Kenta's magic, calling it amazing, and Caroline instantly switches the topic and begins talking about Jose. She then reminds Marie of him saving her a lot of times, saying that even she would fall in love with someone like that. Marie argues by saying that he is nice to everybody, to which Caroline disagrees, asking Marie to put Jose's feelings aside and try imagining herself entering the bath with him. However, Marie calls it a stupid conversation, but Caroline insists on making her imagine Jose. After doing so, she tells Caroline that nothing really happened, but in reality, her face turned completely red. But instead of accepting her feelings, Marie mentions that she must be feeling dizzy and gets out of the bath. Just as she is about to walk out, Caroline lets her know that the light blue bottle on the sink will make her skin even prettier, and without thinking much, Marie starts using it. This makes Caroline realize that she must want to look prettier for Jose and is relieved, but all the stress comes running back when Josette appears, wanting to take Kenta to recommend Marie's bakery to the bakers employed at her house. While Catherine instantly agrees, Caroline is aware that it's not a good idea to leave her crush with another girl and tells Catherine that they don't have enough manpower. With that being said, she tries to turn Josette down when unexpectedly Patty appears, reassuring Josette that Caroline can make up for two people, so it will all be fine. Hearing this, Caroline starts to panic as the customer service skills she taught Patty backfire, and with that, Josette takes Kenta away. Sometime later, Caroline finishes her work at the bakery and returns home, only to lie in bed, frustrated that she forgot to add Josette to the list of her rivals. Afterward, she starts to wonder if it's her microscopic melons and realizes that Kenta is always surrounded by the big ones. Nonetheless, she calms herself down by thinking that jugs aren't everything and starts to feel ashamed for comparing herself with Josette since, currently, Caroline is a commoner. But at the same time, if she hadn't become a commoner, she wouldn't have met Kenta. In this state of panic, Caroline starts remembering her dad, wanting to see him again, well and happy. Just then, an idea strikes her mind, and the answer to all her problems turns out to be money. Elsewhere at Josette's house, she presents casamashi bread to her father, but he turns it down, saying that it's from a baker in the suburbs. However, Josette doesn't give in and tells her father that the main food of many commoners is bread, and Marie working and thinking for the sake of commoners not to starve is amazing. Which is why she believes that if they form a contract with them, they will be able to boast as much as they want. After that, her father notices Josette eating some of the bread from Marie's house and agrees to form a contract, as this is his first time seeing her eat as much as a normal person. Hearing that, Josette stands up in excitement and gets asked by her father how she knew that Jack was the culprit. When Josette starts to hesitate, Kenta lets her father know that he wishes to tell him something. Shocked, Josette asks if it's really okay with him to show him his magic, to which Kenta agrees, telling her that since he's her father, everything should be fine. However, even after he tells her father the truth, he fails to believe it until his recorded voice is played back by the voice recorder. At this point, curiosity gets the best of him, and he asks Kenta to show him some more stuff. When he gets informed about baths and toilets, her father takes him to an empty room along with 3 million gold to decorate it. Just like that, he gets the chance to enjoy taking a bath and washing his bottom using the advanced toilets. Lastly, Kenta asks him to keep this a secret, to which he agrees, and with that, the two of them walk out of the house. Kenta talks about how he's glad to get a big trade partner with large sums, unaware of the fact that Josette's father is watching them through a window with quite a disgusting look on his face. Elsewhere at the bread union assembly place, Marie shows everyone the recipe that they can use to make the bread last another year. According to her, the stores that deal with nobility would be willing to pay large sums of money for a loaf of bread. But since the majority of customers are poor commoners, she doesn't want her regular customers to starve to death. After explaining everything, she bows, asking everyone to cooperate with her. To her surprise, one of the bakers calls her name, telling her that they are not in a position where she can rely on them, as in reality, they are the ones relying on her. Moreover, they are surprised to see her willing to teach them her recipe, even though they all suspected her of being the arsonist, and wish to apologize even though they are sure that it won't be enough. To get things started, they ask Marie to demonstrate for them in the kitchen. After she is done with the meeting, Marie is on her way home, feeling glad that she made the natural yeast by herself. Just when she is about to enter her house, someone grabs her from behind, and that person's accomplices begin to loot everything present in the bakery. At this point, Marie decides not to resist and wonders if they are robbers. Just then, she hears Catherine calling her name, and when one of the men tells his accomplices to grab the brat, she loses her cool and stops the foot of that big guy, making him lose control over her. After that, she yells at those men to stop, and at the same time, Catherine opens the door, asking Marie who these people are. Marie instantly runs up to Catherine and gives her a hug, suggesting they go to the police together. Meanwhile, Kenta is on his way home with Josette, and the two of them are discussing how her dad was pretty nice to him. Josette adds by saying that this is the first time she has seen her father smile like that. Following that, she invites Kenta to come sit next to her, to which he agrees, but instead of sitting next to her, he puts his hand next to her hand and leans towards Josette, who starts to think that he might be planning to go to the Pound Town. But to her shock, he mentions that there are police in front of the shop, and without wasting any time, he runs towards Marie, asking if something is wrong. She informs him that someone caused a bit of trouble, and luckily the police took them. While Kenta understands that, he seems to be a bit curious about the big busty girl sticking so close to Marie. Earlier that day, Marie wished all the bakers good luck and was on her way back when, accidentally, she bumped into a tall, mysterious gentleman who recognized her as Marie. He then mentioned that she was as beautiful as the rumors, which made Marie a bit uncomfortable, and she decided to walk away. However, the man stopped her and introduced himself as Croix, telling her that her bakery would be under his management. Surprised, Marie told him that she didn't hear such a thing, and was informed by Croix that she could do business under the patronage of a noble, and with a patron, it would become easier for her store to prosper even further. But to his shock, Marie straight up refused and told Croix that they were thriving enough already. With that being said, she walked away, leaving Croix frustrated, who was sure that she would come back begging him soon. Back at the shop, a fairy-like girl was sitting on the counter, bored because everyone had left in the morning. She then noticed some weird people hanging around the shop, and judging by their appearances, figured that they were surely bad people. At first, the fairy girl thought that this could not be anything bad and must be some sort of surprise play for Marie, but she took back her words after watching them try to steal everything the store had. This made it clear to her that they were bad people, and before long she started seeing them steal the day's sales, Marie's tools, and even go after Catherine. At that point, Marie yelled at them, and seeing that she had gotten really mad, the fairy girl used her powers to freeze time around her. Back in the present, she introduces herself to Kenta as the store's fairy named Emily. Apparently, it is said that store fairies live in houses where people do business, and if one signs a master contract with them, they receive various blessings. Depending on the ability of the master and the store's prosperity, the blessings may vary, and Emily can do things like provide customer service, guard the store, and even recover the wounded. Furthermore, Emily explains that normally only shop owners should be able to see the fairies, and when Caroline asks if she was able to see them before, Marie realizes that the shadows she was seeing were real and not something she was imagining due to lack of sleep. Turns out fairies live within stores that are working hard, and there are times it takes a while for the owner to perceive them, but this was a special time since it was dangerous. Lastly, Emily asks if it's okay to be the fairy for this shop, to which Marie agrees and thanks her for the help. After that, she begins discussing her contractor and says that Kenta should be the one. According to her, Kenta doesn't seem to have mana but something that resembles it inside him. Normally, store fairies are just used for chores and odd jobs, but she feels that if Kenta's her contractor, he could be given a big blessing. This makes Josette question Emily if she's sure she doesn't want a contract with the shop owner, to which she replies by saying that there's no need since they can even make contracts with customers who come to the shop. Hoping that it will be good for the shop, Kenta asks her about the kind of contract they will be making and gets told by Emily that she was hoping to have Kenta's sauces inside. This makes Marie realize that Emily was fooling them, as she can't make contact with women, and warns her not to play such tricks ever again. After apologizing for what she did, Emily informs them that a contract can also be formed with a bit of blood, and with that, Kenta offers her a drop of blood on his finger. To his surprise, she starts sucking his finger and then gives him a tight hug, informing Kenta that the contract is now complete. Seeing how bold she's acting, Josette mentions that it's a surprise she's not a demon, and Emily lets her know that she's just a fairy, and if the questions were asked by her husband, she would answer everything. Nonetheless, Kenta then asks her about her clothes, wondering if she can't do anything about them. Emily lets him know that this was her previous husband's hobby since he was a dirty old fart who had his tool working even at that age. Moreover, she tells Marie that all the other famous shops had girls in them, but luckily, she managed to find this bakery and requests that she not kick her out. Afterward, Emily decides to take care of her clothes and asks Kenta to imagine the clothes he wants her to wear. The first dress Kenta thinks of is a nurse's dress, and as Emily is able to read his mind, she ends up dressing as a nurse before he even tells her to. However, Kenta, who is still not satisfied, makes her try multiple other outfits until she wears a maid outfit that Josette ends up liking. Curious, Marie asks if she will be serving the customers looking like that, to which Emily agrees, telling her that they look like normal humans to customers, but people who have contracts with other fairies can see that she's a fairy. Moreover, she can sense if someone intends to harm Marie or the shop, and while she's now stronger because of her contract with Kenta, her condition is still not perfect because of all the stuff Grandpa used to do behind closed doors. Just then, Josette remembers that she left the carriage waiting outside and decides to head home. Caroline tells Josette that she's a very important customer and asks her to be careful on her way home. Later that night, the girls are present in the living room to sleep together, where Caroline realizes that another girl has appeared before her love interest. Marie lets Emily know that she will be counting on her for protection, and with that, she ends up lying between Kenta and Caroline. Annoyed, Caroline questions the reason she is sleeping between them, and Emily lets her know that it's because she lacks a futon. This makes Catherine ask if she can get smaller, which reminds Emily that she can and ends up sleeping next to her, making Caroline realize that she can't let her guard down even against fairies. The following day after school, Caroline goes to meet up with Josette, who is waiting outside the school with her carriage. After hopping in the carriage, Josette informs Caroline that her father was released today and should be at her house. According to Josette, her father was very excited to finally be free, but sadly, it might take a few days for her family's servants to return. But Caroline stays silent all along the ride because everything happened so suddenly that this doesn't even feel real to her. Even after reaching her house, Josette notices how nervous Caroline is and reminds her that her father, Frederick, is her only family, and all she needs to do is show herself. Without wasting any time, Caroline enters the mansion and greets Josette's father, who asks her not to be so formal. Just then, she hears the voice of her father, who comes running and gives her a big hug, glad to see that she's still alive. This interaction not only brings tears to Caroline's eyes, but also to Josette, and her father's eyes as well. Now that they are done with greetings, Josette's father explains that the reason Frederick got arrested was because he found out that Baron Clausa was working with Jack to grow wheat and sell it as if it were imported. In order to protect his wrongdoings, the Baron reported Frederick for false embezzlement and tax evasion. Luckily, all the thieves have now been arrested, and Jack, along with everyone involved, has confessed to their crimes as well. Hearing that, Caroline tells Frederick that he did the right thing and figures that he must have been frustrated by her lack of ability to help. However, Frederick reassures Caroline that her being healthy is more than enough for him and believes that she must have had a hard time being treated as a criminal's daughter. But to his surprise, Caroline disagrees and tells Josette that thanks to her help, she had a very good time. Flustered, Josette tells them that she didn't do anything and that it was Kenta whom she should be thanking the most. Confused, Frederick asks if this Kenta took care of her, to which Caroline agrees, telling her that she did everything from food, clothing, and shelter. Hearing this, Frederick decides to thank him for that, and after that, he shows his gratitude to Josette's father as well, saying that not only did he get released by his daughter, but he is also safe. But to his shock, even Josette's father disagrees with him, telling Frederick that Kenta was the one who did most of the work. Shocked, Frederick asks if Kenta is a man of high status, only to be told that he is a commoner student working at a bakery. This comes as a surprise to Frederick, since this is the first time he has heard of the Duke appointing a commoner as a lord. Josette's father then tells Frederick that it gets cold as soon as the sun goes down, But according to Frederick, the room they are currently in feels warm even when there's no fireplace inside. He is then told by Josette's father that this room has a device that automatically warms or cools the room depending on the temperature, and it was Kenta who installed it. He further adds by saying that Kenta has a way of using technology that they don't know about, but that's not it. Apparently, the thieves hired by Klauso were frozen like wax dolls at Marie's bakery, which proves that there is a powerful fairy in the shop. Apparently, if all the stories are true, Josette's father believes that shops with fairies can be quite troublesome. If they are led the right way, the fairies can be of great help, but if they stray away from the right path, even the whole city could be destroyed. Furthermore, Kenta seems to have lost his memories recently, and it's hard to understand the evil happening in the country. So if he were to get tricked by an evil person, they all could end up in an unimaginable situation, which is why Josette's father wants to guide and protect Kenta. Luckily, they are the only ones who know of Kenta's abilities, which is why he's trying to figure out a way of protecting him. Hearing this, Frederick decides to help him out as well. Once that is settled, Josette's father informs him that since he is proven not guilty, all his property has been returned, and he's sure that they will be able to live their normal lives. Moreover, it has been decided that Klauso's properties will now be under Frederick's jurisdiction, and now, he will be a member of the nobility with territory. Both Frederick and Caroline get excited after hearing this, and he suggests checking out their new territory once they start living together. But for now, Josette's father asks Caroline to stay at a nearby inn until the mansion is ready, to which she agrees, aware that she hasn't even told Kenta about any of this. With that being said, the two of them leave the girls on their own, who start discussing the fact that Josette's father seems to be up to something. Caroline agrees, saying that it sounds weird for the city to disappear, and Josette hopes that nothing bad happens. After that, Josette asks Caroline the reason she's not telling the truth, and when Caroline asks what she means, Josette mentions that she must still want to live with Kenta at his house. Caroline lets her know that there's a difference in social status between the two of them, and gets asked by Josette if she's seriously saying that. Carlone replies by saying that nobles and commoners are different, and even if they wish to live together, it's impossible. Surprised, Josette lets her know that this is the first time she has spoken back to her, and reassures Caroline not to worry about it since she still wants to be friends with her. But before they can discuss this matter any further, the carriage to take Frederick back appears, and just as Caroline is about to leave, Josette advises her not to regret whatever she does. Soon after, she pays a visit to the bakery and informs Marie that she will be going to live with her father. Hearing this, Marie gets overjoyed as she believes it must have been hard for a youngling like her to bear all this. After that, she hands Caroline a box, which turns out to be a new uniform. With that, she thanks Caroline for everything and asks if she had fun working at the bakery. This brings tears to her eyes, and Caroline lets Marie know that this uniform will be very useful for her. Knowing that she will be heading to Kenta's house next, Marie asks Caroline to tell him to speak with her about going to the Duke's house in a worn-out shirt. Following that, Kenta is told that the two of them will only be spending a few more days together. She asks if he is going to miss her, and when Kenta agrees, Caroline tells him to stand up, and as soon as he complies, she runs into him and pins him to the bed. Following that, she reveals her mid-body and tells Kenta that none of them will be sleeping tonight. Just like that, the two of them enjoy having the time of their lives together, ultimately waking up next to each other the following morning. The next day, Patty meets up with Akin at school, where she finds out that Patty is currently in second class. By Japanese standards, this means that the two of them are at the same age. Moreover, Akin informs her that she used to be her childhood friend in the game, and she took a lot of advice from her regarding love. This comes as a surprise to someone like Patty, and Akin further says that she could make a graph looking at boys' popularity, and was a silent but smart girl who could open her heart only to her. The two of them then start to discuss her hairstyle when suddenly, a thought strikes Patty, and she realizes that Akin was looking for her because she probably wants some advice on love. When she hesitantly agrees, Patty figures that she is probably after the prince. Akin replies by saying that while she's not actively after him, the prince is currently her favorite. This conversation makes Akin curious as well, and she asks if Patty has someone she loves. To her surprise, Patty agrees, saying that there was someone and that someone was none other than Kenta. But before she could even make a move, the nobles started putting a lot of pressure on her. Akin asks if Patty's talking about her older sisters, to which she agrees, telling Akin that even Josette likes Kenta. Akin is shocked to hear that and remembers that Josette is supposed to be after the prince, and thinking about it makes her realize that this means Josette never liked the prince from the start. Furthermore, nobles sometimes make marriages for political gains, and if she saw that marriage as work, she might have never liked him. Patty then mentions that Josette has changed a lot ever since Kenta came to this world, and asks if there are things around Akin that feel strange. Akin lets her know that her job is now ruined since she used to work at Snake Jack's bakery. Now, she has to find a new job, and Patty adds by saying that she has been living like a figurine for the bakery as well, which is quite disturbing. Puzzled, Akin looks at Patty to figure out what she means and notices those big bazongas, making her understand everything. Their conversation is then interrupted by the appearance of the prince, who, after greeting Akin, asks if he can join them. Akin starts to panic as there's no place for him to sit, but just then, Patty decides to go home, or else she could be late for work. Once she leaves, Akin gets a bit disappointed, but after the prince sits next to her, she realizes that the reason Patty left was so the two of them could have some time alone. Do you think Akin has the riz to bag the prince? Comment bread if you'd like a part 2 of this series. As usual, thank you for tuning in and we'll catch you in the next one.